Testing.
Hello and welcome to Oceanside Ice Arena, where today I'm feeling great. For one, I'm wearing a brand new suit that I got for Christmas. And two, it's because I got these two lovely ladies standing right next to me. I'm Troy Lynch, she's Allison Cummings, and right next to me is Megan Plain filling in for Kyle Kirchhoff. Sorry, Kyle, we have replaced you. We'll never see you again. But in bigger news, we got ASU hockey playing Central Oklahoma Broncos, number 1 versus number 2. It's a great matchup, but Allie, I'm going to turn to you first. Last night, ASU was handed their first loss at home. How do they need to bounce back?
Well, first of all, losing, nobody ever wants to lose, but they have to realize that they still played an incredibly great game and shake it off coming into today. That game could have easily went either way. Arizona State did have a couple of chances there that could have easily went in, but Oklahoma, they matched their hustle. They even arguably out-hustled them. They just have to know and take that now into this game. The Broncos, very physical team. They're going to be pushing the bodies a lot, and they need to come back and rebound with that.
Yeah, and defensively last night, ASU, they were not themselves. Out of 15 home games, they've only let up 26 total goals. 5 of them come from last night. Megan, what do they need to do to change against a really good offensive team tonight?
Yeah, defensively they need to put some more pressure on them because these teams are very equally matched. It's ASU is at 22 and 2 losses, and then the other team 21 and 2 losses. So they're very equally matched, and so ASU needs to try and put as much pressure on them as they can to prevent them from scoring.
And the key to me is definitely in the forecheck. There's been a little bit of changes in Coach Power's lines going into today. I brought up that they're a physical team. They're putting in Jared Morris. What is Jared Morris good at? Throwing the body. He's going to be very useful against this Broncos team. And also Patrick Udez. We talked about him so much yesterday, but he's going to be so crucial in today's game. And of course, we've got Eric Rivard. He's such a mucker. You're going to need these bigger guys in today's game.
And like you said, with Coach Greg Powers, this is going to be a good team. But last night, he didn't think that his team played bad at all.
No.
He just thought that they couldn't put the puck in the back of the net, which is normally the problem when you lose. But let's just put this in perspective. If you're in Coach Greg Powers' shoes right now and you're in the locker room, what are you telling the team to get them psyched up so they can come back and try to win it tonight?
Shoot the puck and shoot it often. Caldwell is a fantastic goalie, and quite frankly, I'm not sure how many chances they're going to get. They're an explosive team back the other way. They need to be shooting a lot from the point, shooting from the inside, getting guys into those gritty, grindy areas and creating chances.
And UCO handed Arizona State their first loss of the season earlier this season, 7-4. How do you see the game playing out tonight, Megan?
It's going to be such a close matchup between the two teams. They're just so equal. The Sun Devils, after losing last night, they're definitely going to come back with more fire under their belts, wanting to come out and win. And then the other team, they had a win against U of A, so they're going to come out with a lot of confidence, and it'll just be an extremely close matchup.
And I want to build off of that in terms of depth. Arizona State is very deep, but so is UCO. Last time they faced Arizona State this year, Rivera had a hat trick. Rivera's on the third line there. That's deep. Yeah.
Well, we definitely have an exciting game ahead of you. Number 1 versus number 2, so stay in your seats, grab some popcorn. We'll be right here. Thanks for watching. I'm Troy Lynch. She's Allison Cummings. She's Megan Plain. And stay tuned for Dom and Jason later.
for game number 26 for ASU after their third loss last night. They get ready to welcome in the Central Oklahoma Broncos. Hi, everybody. I'm Dominic Catronio with Jason Chesler. Thanks for making us a part of your weekend. The first series of 2015 got off to a tough start last night, Jason. A 5-3 loss with an empty net goal to the Sooners of Oklahoma. Deja vu from last year. How do these Sun Devils got to bounce back tonight, Jason?
You know, the ASU can't get caught up in that Oklahoma loss. UCO has proven that they're capable of taking down this Sun Devil roster. They play a very fast, high-pressure style of play, a style that I think matches up very well with Arizona State. If ASU's thinking about that loss on Thursday, they're going to have a rough Friday and Saturday.
When we get things going here, ASU, they have the fourth line starting tonight, which consists of Jared Morris chasing the puck down below the crease, Mac Barnett and Connor Maley. The starting defensive pairing is Alex Temby and Jared Levos. As for the other side and for the Broncos, they start out with in-net Torrey Caldwell, and out in front here picking up the puck is Michael Rivera, their third line, also consisting of Trevor Yee and Josh Wyatt. Picked up over there by Yee. Go ahead, Jason.
This third line of the Broncos tore Arizona State up when ASU traveled to Central Oklahoma. Michael Rivera, of course, the hat-trick hero for UCO, and Trevor Yee, just a pest in Arizona State's side for all 60 minutes of action in the first matchup between these two teams this year.
Back on October the 16th, it was a 7-4 loss for ASU. It's brought in, now sent all the way across over to the far point. Handled there by Peter Kressner. He sends it in down low and a chase for the puck, and it's batted around. Eric Rivard was there. A miscommunication for a moment between Temby and Levos. Comes up to Murphy at center ice. Grauer was trying to get involved for the Broncos, and now he sticks it down. Broncos number 2, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, 21-2-1. Almost identical record to ASU's 22-3. A cross pass over to Rivard, sends a sliding puck, sticked away by Caldwell. Murphy now tied up into the far corner. He's having a battle with Andrew Hodder, the defenseman. Back down low, still bouncing around. Grauer going for it as well as Rivard. Bounced around with Kressner. Comes in front, it's punched by Caldwell, and it's back to UCO. A big hit by Schmitty in front of the ASU bench. He delivered that onto Ryan Dooley. A solid deke by Murphy to avoid one man, and now gives it to Fezcon. He made his season debut last night after serving his first semester ineligible. Coming in is Ryan Belanger, but his shot is off target, goes over to the far side. A poor touch by Kahn, but now it's reclaimed by UCO and Matt Prigge. Icing is the call with 17:34 to go in the first period, our first stoppage of the game.
Seeing some time tonight here on this Sun Devil second line out at right wing. It looks like Chris Blessing didn't get a look last night against Oklahoma. David Norris, the newest member of the Sun Devils, a transfer student at winter break, and of course brother of Liam Norris, got the nod at right wing in this line last night.
Here come the Broncos. Up now is their top line, and Gavin Hull, their top point scorer this season. They're coming off of a 6-3 win last night. A centering feed to the slot, a spinning shot from Brandon Harley, no good. Send it back inside again, but it's fended away by the ASU, and here comes Kahn. Trailing him is Udez, but he decides to unload anyway, and it goes wide. Cleared down, icing will be whistled.
High pace of play early on from the Sun Devils. You know, last night we saw an Oklahoma team really willing to try to slow the pace down, sit in their defensive zone, and look to basically counterpunch, if you pardon my boxing term. This UCO team, they're a bit more fast-paced, they're more aggressive, they're going to look to press against ASU, not sit back the way the Sooners did on Thursday.
Good defense in the offensive zone by Patrick Udez, and he earns a turnover, centering feed trying to find Bergkemper, but no. Cooney goes down to the corner, has it on the back end of his stick, going for Bergkemper. Instead, it's intercepted by Prigge. All the way back to ASU's defense. And for the first time this weekend, we see Brett Blumgren on the ice. He was the extra man last night, did not get on to it at all. The captain, just a short shift there, and Neumeyer's on in his place with Schmidt. Coming up is Michael Rivera. Going to wheel it all the way around. Levin is ready for the wraparound attempt. Blocked it away. Good defense as well by Newmeyer, and it leaks free for Udez. He had a goal last night. Dumps it ahead for Bergkemper as the rest of the forwards go for a change. Fourth line coming out. Maley's there for the turnover. Sends a shot. Rebound and sticked away by Caldwell.
Caldwell looking comfortable early on in this one, showcasing some good reaction times. He's let a few pucks squirt away from him. He's really going to need to smother and stop these plays. You give up enough rebounds against an offensive juggernaut like the Sun Devils, they'll put one back into the twine.
Just offsides against the Broncos. Rivera was just a bit ahead of himself when Yee carried it into the zone.
One of the things we saw last night from Oklahoma, yes, they played their game plan well, but they executed very well in general. Mental mistakes, offsides, giving up penalties, and of course not having an effective PK. The OU penalty kill unit was excellent last night. You can't make mistakes like that against the number one team in the country.
Off the draw, ASU will hold possession here. At this time last night, ASU was already down 1-0 to OU. Pass up ahead to Jared Morris. He was not in the lineup tonight. Really, no one in this fourth line was in the lineup last night of Morris, Barden, and Maley. The only other change in this line is Jared Levas coming into the game for Gianni Mangoni. He said after the game he was a bit sore. That's nursing is still from his leg injury earlier in the season before the semester break, but it was good to see him back out on the ice last night.
Yeah, Mangoni out moving well, passing well, doing all the classic #Gianni hockey things we came to know him for in the first semester of action.
I'm surprised that was the first time you said Gianni hockey, and he's not even in the game tonight.
I'm making up for lost time, Dom.
McGovern will stick it over to the far side. Icing will be the call, though. Rivard didn't bother with a chase. It comes down here to UCO zone.
You raise a good point about this fourth line, though, Dominic. A very different fourth line than last night, but even last night's fourth line did not see much action. Coach Powers maybe mixing things up, looking to flex the depth a little bit more as we get into Game 2 of a long, tough 3-game weekend for the Sun Devils.
Right circle face-off. Comes down to the corner, popped up high. It was caught by a Sun Devil, but not much else. Now a battle for the puck with Dooley. Big 91, you can't miss him. Dooley stands at 6 feet 5 inches. Using all of his size there against Liam Norris. Over to the corner now. A drop by Sam Rice. It stays in the zone, though. No one has to escape. A leaking putt now. Grauer couldn't get there, and it gets by Prigge. All the way back here, Hodder gets it. Icing is called. UCO trying to campaign that it was tipped before it went past the crease. Nonetheless, it's already their fourth icing, if I do recall.
Yeah, some of that's just a little bit of rust, not coming out quite with the best effort we've seen out of the Broncos this year. Some of that is their game plan, however. They do play a very fast-paced style. They're looking to stretch the ice, catch the Sun Devils on their back foot. That'll lead to a lot of stretch pass attempts, and yes, it might be icing 4 times. You connect once, and that could lead to a goal.
We said it earlier, last night, UCO was down in Tucson, won 6-3 pretty handily. Blomgren with a shot, but getting in the way for UCO looked like it was Curtis Johnson, or excuse me, Nolan Grauer. Now Grauer gets the steal and goes over to the right side, try to get up ahead to Dooley. He lost the puck. Belanger is there, and Temby will send it back to Blomgren. Some good puck movement now. Norris tried to find Kahn. Last night after the game, a nice catch, though, there. A shot, rebound allowed, loose in front, but Belanger could not get there. That was Chris Blessing with the shot, even though he's not listed on the lineup card. Interesting. Good chance now for Rivard. He's got Blessing on the right side, just out of his reach. Now try to find it back in front. It was deflected by Ryan and went through the lip. Caldwell didn't have to make a save, but Bergkemper has it now. Controlling up top. One-timer for Schmidt. It was a knuckle puck right of the post. Newmeyer tried to get it down low, but instead Grauer's there. pops it up high, knocked down. Shot by Udez, glove save.
Patrick Udez came out. He missed most of the first semester of action this season. Really came out looking like he hadn't missed any time at all last night. Picked up a goal and just put out really the kind of performance that Sun Devil fans have come to expect out of last year's tournament hero. Such a nuisance to opposing teams. Such high pressure, high intensity. He'll pressure you in the defensive zone, the offensive zone, every zone.
They try to get a counter going with Josh Wyatt, but that attempt was thwarted by ASU. Cooney enters the zone. Now comes over here to the near side. He sends a shot. Stick side save for Caldwell. Udez, a shot as he falls, and it's again pushed away by Torrey. Schmidt. Belanger. And he gets clocked. Chance now for Bernkemper, but no. Good defense by Rivera. No penalty, though. Rivera didn't like it. Gave him a little shove to Bernkemper before he went back to the bench, but Cooney comes in with Morris. Try to dangle it for him, but instead it's a turnover. The other way, UCO. Brought up by Wyatt. A big slap shot. It came up on the bottom of Levin's mask. Nonetheless, it's a save. Stopping on a dime and looking for an option. UCO trying to get something going. They have had very little time in the offensive zone tonight. These first 8.5 minutes. Maley gets the chip forward. Now it's given up for Barden. They got Schmidt trailing behind the defenseman playing up. Barden losing the handle, gives it to Schmidt, but no, he could not get it home. Maley sends it back in. Icing is waved off. Far side now. Curtis Johnson. A soft shot was well wide right. Morris gets hit off the puck before he gives it to Norris. Now it goes over to Young, the defenseman. Tried to find Norris streaking out on the left side. That almost looked like a great chance for a goal. Now it's behind the cage. Norris. Liam, that is, with this top line. Murphy tried crashing in, but it's still Liam. Try to find Rivard, working his way towards the slot. Now spinning back around below the crease. Defended there by Chad Rorta. Norris to Murphy. Could not handle it. UCO coming the other way with Hull. He gets hit by McGovern, but still stays on his feet. A high shot, he beat Levin. A goal for Brandon Harley. It's 1-0 UCO.
ASU got sucked into the trap right out of the gate from this one. Back and forth, high-speed, neutral zone-oriented hockey being played at Oceanside tonight. That's right into the midst of UCO's game plan. They're looking to get out in transition. They're looking to find the odd man rush. That time it was Brandon Harley bringing things up the near wing. Honestly, a bit of a soft shot, a little bit of a knuckle puck sent in the way of Robert Levin. Maybe that off-speed stuff fooled Levin. Went high glove side on him, couldn't react. Beat the Sun Devil netminder.
Harley is assisted by Hull and also Formosa. So everyone on this top line gets a point on the goal. It came at 9:33. So a little later than yesterday, but the team from Oklahoma gets on the board first.
And, you know, we saw a lot last night, Tom. The defensemen for the Sun Devils, they weren't really creeping across that blue line on offense. They weren't exposing the neutral zone to be picked apart by stretch passes because everybody knew OU wanted to counterattack. UCO a bit more up-tempo. They're looking to counterattack as well. Connor Schmidt, Ed McGovern, these offensive-minded ASU blue liners, they can't creep forward against a team like this.
Over to the far side now. Temby has to get knocked off the puck. Comes in, another shot onto Levin, but he makes the save. Came from Grauer.
That was pretty close to goal number 2 for the Broncos. A well-developed puck that time. UCO showing why they're the number 2 team in the country. Yes, they like to play a back-and-forth style. They like to counterattack and get out in transition. But when you set them up in their attacking zone, they control the puck off an offensive zone faceoff. They can develop plenty of scoring chances.
Now UCO is sustaining some time in their offensive zone. Cooney tries to get it out. He's got Udez with him. It comes back to center ice, but waiting for it there was Yee. Levin decided to leave his crease. It popped up high. Now Burkemper has it, gives it over to Newmeyer. Up ahead, it got behind Udez, but waiting for it was Cooney. Plenty of speed. Burkemper with him. No! Off the right side of the net. Just a little too deep below the crease.
Heady play by Pridgy as well to get his stick low to the ground. Just make that pass even more difficult for Cooney to con.
Over to the far side. Cooney handles it with his skate. Defended by Rice. But it pops up high, out of play to these low ceiling here in Tempe at Oceanside Ice Arena.
Yes, that Oceanside netting, Dom, always a challenge. Very surprised to see the way Arizona State's come out playing this one. You know, the Sun Devils always talk about playing their style of hockey, playing their game plan and making teams adjust to them and not the other way around. Right now, they're playing right into UCO's strategy, however. Arizona State needs to slow this game down, develop a lengthy offensive possession.
Rice got hit hard, and then falling into it, the net was Dooley. As a result of the collision, the net comes off its borings. We'll reset. You look at this team, Coach McAllister did a great job of recruiting to UCO. I was talking to him before the game and saying how even the guys in Oklahoma, the guys in North Texas, UCO is nowhere near the top of their list. They're not a known school. But saying you just got to know guys, you got to find your contacts, and talked about his friendship with Coach Powers as well and how he helped out with all of that. And you look at this team, you've got a lot of British Columbians. A shot from Grauer, but getting in the way was Jared Morris. A lot of British Columbians, a couple of Europeans as well. You've got a couple of guys who aren't dressed tonight. Cyril Meter is from Switzerland. Also not dressing tonight, Nygaard from Sweden. Kressner, who's dressing tonight, is also a Swede. And Daniel Skold, not dressing, but from Stockholm.
And you know, Dom, you look at how high pressure and how fast UCO plays. You need players who are quick enough to get out in front, and you need players who are elite athletes in great physical condition to maintain this style of play, not just over a full 60 minutes, but over a full ACHA season. Kudos to big-time recruiting. And as you mentioned it, Dom, not the most well-known school in the ACHA, but they're making a name for themselves this year, that's for sure.
It's a great record, 21-2-1. They've spent time at number one. They were the first team to defeat these number one Sun Devils. But back to the action. Blumgren tries to give it back to Levos. He gets hit off the puck with Gavin Hull. Now it comes back to Formosa. Tied up with Norris. Haven't seen much time with the second line. The first line has had some work. Comes up to Blomgren. Stretch pass up ahead to Murphy. He's got two guys ahead of him. Rivard coming up the left wing. Murphy coming all the way around. Thinks about the wraparound. Tries it. But Caldwell was ready for it and stops it. And some extracurriculars going on to the near post. Rivard, as he seems to always be, is kind of in the middle of it.
And several game misconducts handed out in the first matchup at UCO between these two teams. Certainly not a lot of love lost between the number one and number two teams in the country. Hopefully we don't see as much brawling as what went down the first time these two teams met. But a little bit of extracurricular activity, you know, that's to be expected in a matchup like this one.
Both guys will head out of the dot. The draw is going to be won by UCO. Blomgren tried to get there first before Rivera. Levos gets there. Comes back around to the far side. Murphy. Try to deke his way around Hodder. Now it's a steal coming the other way. Rivera and Wyatt. Wyatt with the shot came in close to Levin. Handled by Levos. Rivard. Now up top again. Preggy sends it down low. Yee couldn't get there. Rivard, far side. It was behind Murphy, but he handles it. No problem. Norris coming up the slot. A wrister. Rebound allowed by Caldwell. Goes behind the net, though. Priggy gets it back to his fellow defenseman, Hodder. Coming up the right wing, but a poor touch by UCO. It was Jake Daughtry. Schmidt goes over to the far side, try to get a bounce pass, if you will, to Kahn. Daughtry streaks up the left wing, but loses it. Picked up by Chris Blessing, and it's a 3-on-4-on-2 now, if they can hurry. Blessing tries to find Kahn, but it was behind him, and now that chance is simply no more. Not a very good chance or really not really execution of that chance for ASU.
Yeah, not a heady enough pass there from Chris Blessing. He had 3 options in front of him. One of those options had a defender bearing down on him. I believe it was the newly checked in Travis Wellman. Good hustle play by UCO to interrupt a potential breakaway.
Blessing to Schmidt. A shot. Rebound in front. It goes in. Now Schmidt's getting involved. On the left side, the goal will go to Ryan Belanger. Someone came in and shoved Belanger right after he made the goal. And Schmidt took exception to it, and his helmet was ripped off. Still, ASU gets the equalizer.
Yeah, I think the number one thing here, ASU back on the board at number 1. Now, we know Connor Schmidt is absolutely the enforcer of this team. He said it himself. He gets involved in maybe too much extracurricular activity. But I got to side with the Sun Devil defender on that one. He may have reacted. He may have hit the guy who laid out Belanger. But after Connor Schmidt laid that hit out, his helmet got removed, and he took a punch to the face. A punch was thrown, it looked like, from a player in a blue sweater. I certainly don't support extracurricular activities out on the ice. But this puck, the referees got this one right. This is coincidental. First I thought it was going to be just Schmidt sent to the penalty box.
LeBlanc into the box for UCO, along with Schmidt on these coincidental penalties. It'll stay 5-on-5 because of it. Or will it? Only see 4 guys on the ice right now for UCO and 5 for ASU. So they're still trying to figure things out. It is going to be a power play, though, for ASU. Going into the box to serve an extra penalty, they'll be announced shortly, will be Daughtry.
Yeah, again, Schmidt came in with maybe the first late hit in reaction to a potentially late hit on Ryan Belanger. But once Schmidt laid that first hit out, it looked like one UCO player had him in a bit of a headlock. Another one with maybe a punch, maybe it was just a little bit more of a shove towards his head.
Well, nonetheless, Ryan Belanger, the goal, his 15th of the year, leading the Sun Devils, his 30th points as well. Trails the leaders of Norris with 34 and Murphy with 30.
And again, it's ASU playing their style instead of getting caught up in the high-paced style that UCO is trying to impose on them. It was set up in the offensive zone. They took control of the puck, played the puck around, and eventually found their opening. If they keep going back and forth the way they did before that scoring chance, well, we saw how that one worked out. It was a 1-0 lead for the Broncos, and UCO was well in control of the game.
They're having some difficulty with the scoreboard right now, trying to figure out who gets the penalties and making sure they illuminate the right ones for the timers, because one of these will be a live penalty and one of them will be just a stoppage for it to expire. Looks like they finally have it up there. It'll be LeBlanc serving 2 minutes, but there's something else that Daughtry is serving for UCO, and that's what the referees are coming over here to talk with Coach McAllister about. He seems to be in agreement, though.
We wait for the official announcement.
Belanger's goal came at 14:06. They give no assist. So ASU on the power play for the first time tonight. Coming up the right side, it's Murphy. Bounces it, a good pass off the boards. Norris wheels it up to Young, who goes over to the far side. McGovern, they play catch back and forth in the high slot. Back and forth up and top. Oh, Schmidt gets an assist. McGovern a shot. Kick save. Comes in down low. Deflection goes just wide. A fake there for McGovern. So there's the call. It's 2 penalties against LeBlanc, and that's why they had to bring Daughtry in to serve him, because one of them is an advantage.
Coincidentals, 2 minutes for roughing each for Connor Schmidt and Trevor LeBlanc. A second 2-minute penalty that was cross-checking the ruling on LeBlanc.
So ASU's got 50 seconds left in this power play. They went 0 for 5 last night, despite allowing 1 for 2. Hand pass. Believe it's against UCO, but still, last night it was an abysmal night on special teams for ASU.
Yeah, the Sun Devil power play, maybe not the best they've had all season, certainly not up to their usual standards, but really not that bad of a power play unit last night from ASU. I think you got to give a lot of credit to the Oklahoma Sooners penalty kill unit. they put together a great performance, a performance worthy of a victory. That's what they got out of it.
I think their shining moment was having their star player, Bryce Johnson, serving a 5-minute major between 2 periods and did not allow a goal. And then on their ensuing first power play of the night in the 3rd period, they put the biscuit in the basket.
Absolutely. An altogether great special teams performance from the Sooners last night. UCO, they need to capitalize the same way Oklahoma did. They've got to deny the Sun Devils. And so far, 10 seconds left on this 5-on-4 advantage. The Broncos have done just that.
They did a very good job of clearing and burning time. Wyatt here giving it a look. Now Fezcon at center ice. Central Oklahoma at full strength, but Schmidt and LeBlanc will have to wait for a stoppage to return to the ice. Daughtry heads back to his bench. A change for both teams. For ASU out there now, it's a 3rd line. Up the right wing, a big collision. Cooney ran into a brick wall, and it was Peter Kressner. Udez getting his nose in there. He had a goal last night. Far corner, Burkemper. Man hits the ice for UCO. Coming in behind is Grauer. This 4th line has seen a lot of time for the Broncos. Now a whistle is blown. Looks like the man on the ice was covering the puck. And it looks like it was Rylan Dooley. Schmidt and also now Blessing gets an assist on that 14:06 goal for Belanger. Let's just keep adding another guy each minute here on the assists, I guess.
Exactly. Eventually they'll have to modify the rules, add in a 3rd hockey assist.
I mean, I was watching a basketball game the other day, and they were giving a point guard hockey assists, and I was thinking, there's a reason why it's called a hockey assist, not a basketball assist. Comes over to the left corner now. A battle for the puck, and it's picked up by Prigge. A dive by Harley. He scored the goal for UCO. That came at 9:33. They try to get a breakout chance. It was thwarted by Cooney, but they got a chance coming again. It's Hull. He tried to send in a puck, but it was defended by Levos. The stick is on the ice in the neutral zone. Tommy Cooney comes away with it, gives it to Burkemper. Trying to avoid Harley's pressure. Over to the far side, Levos. Hull gets his stick and actually breaks it, but it did enough to delay Levos' return to the offensive zone. Cooney, surrounded by blue sweaters, has to peel off, dump, and go for a change. Not after he is leveled by Kressner. Young slaps it ahead of Rivard, who gives it back to him. 2 minutes to go in the period. It's been a doozy similar to last night's. Far side. McGovern. Try to find Murphy, who got tripped up. And offsides is the call against ASU.
Yeah, Norris just a hair out in front, as I believe Murphy got himself slowed down a little bit, got tangled up over on the far wing. And the doozy is correct, Dom. This has been quite the first period. These two teams really going to war out there. We see the two contrasting styles. ASU's possession, attack-based style going up against UCO's real back-and-forth, neutral zone-oriented, incredibly high-paced style of play. It's definitely an interesting matchup. There's a reason as well that these teams are number 1 and number 2 in the country. Some of the best hockey I've seen played all year anywhere in the nation.
Here's your zone face-off. Norris wins it. Seems like he always does. Young sends it off the glass, didn't get a friendly hop, and it's picked up by UCO and Trevor LeBlanc fresh out of the box. Young gets it around Wyatt, comes into the zone, going back to retrieve it as Rivera. Caldwell leaves his crease, but he's defending well to steal. Norris gives it to Rivard, up top shelf. It's a goal. ASU has their first lead of the weekend.
Liam Norris with his best UCO Broncos impression. Constant pressure from the Sun Devil first line center. Norris proving he's not just a playmaker out there, he's a complete player. Finding that puck behind the net, pressuring the UCO defenseman, coming away with it, and then we know if there's one thing Liam Norris has, it's elite passing vision. He found Eric Rivard crashing towards the net, wrapped that puck around, stick side, behind the goalie, and Rivard did the rest, beating Torrey Caldwell.
Well, it took 78.5 minutes, but ASU has their first lead of the weekend. Murphy and Norris get assists on Rivard's goal for Rivard. That's his 15th of the season, now tying him with Belanger for the team lead that he had just taken. ASU, though, gets a penalty. Going into the box is Chris Blessing. It's a tripping call against Bless. It came at 18:36. So Blessing, 2 minutes for tripping, and we're going to have to ask Coach about this after the game, but Blessing isn't even listed on the line sheet, and he's had a bunch of ice time, a great clearance by ASU. We've seen a lot of time as Blomgren on the ice, even though he's technically the extra man.
Yeah, definitely a little bit confusion. David Norris really expected to be getting those minutes that Chris Blessing's gotten tonight.
Coming all the way in. They try to feed it over to the left side, but Wellman could not get it. Sent back around by Dooley in this power play unit. Wellman goes over to the right side, barely kept in. It comes over here to the high slot with Grauer. Down low, Dooley. Levin doing the splits, but dislodged the net in the process.
This UCO power play unit, definitely a very different look than what the Broncos typically look like at even strength. You can't counterattack when you've got the extra man. You can't sit back and look to swap things up in the neutral zone. You've got to take control in the attacking zone. You got to work the puck around patiently. And so far, UCO's done that very effectively. The Sun Devils still doing a good job protecting the center, protecting the slot, not giving up any real chances.
Preggy goes over to the right side. Now back up top to Rivera. He's been ASU's Achilles heel in games against UCO. We mentioned the hat trick in the first game this season, and he knocks that one down before the clearance. He sends it in, but too far, high and wide. Top line out there, Gavin Hole. Formosa came in. Here on the near side now. Handled by Yee. Comes in close on Levin. Didn't have to make a save, though. Belanger couldn't get the clearance. It's loose in the high slot, and now it's Jordan Young, the Arizonan, getting it out in the final seconds of the period. A great first period for the Sun Devils. They had the lead 2-1, and they're in about 2/3 of the way, if you will, through this penalty kill. 2 goals, Belanger and Rivard. They get 14-6 out shooting them. Jason, what were your impressions from the period?
You know, the Sun Devils found success when they played their brand of hockey, Dom. ASU cannot get caught up in the high-paced matchup the UCO wants to showcase. That's what we saw for the first 10 minutes of action, where the Broncos were in control and took a 1-0 lead. Once the Sun Devils slowed things down, took a lengthy offensive possession, they were able to find the back of the net because they're an elite offense, and that's what they do.
How do you think UCO scored their first goal, and how do they recreate that in the second period?
They've got to keep the pace up. They've got to keep looking for those stretch passes. They could be a little crisper out there passing-wise. They did get the first goal on the scoreboard. Since that point, though, we've seen a number of offside penalties for the Broncos. We haven't seen the crispest outlet passing for them. But if they can connect on those passes, they can stretch the Sun Devil defense out. They can find these odd man breaks and transition chances.
Chris Blessing will be in the box serving 36 more seconds of a penalty, a tripping call at the end of the period. So ASU will come back out on the penalty kill again, leading 2-1. But right now we'll send it down to Troy Lynch, who's got an interview for you, and then we head to break with the intermission report. Stay with us on Cronkite Sports.
I'm Troy Lynch, standing right next to Captain Liam Norris. Now, Liam, how has the mentality changed from after last night's loss in the locker room?
I mean, we're going into the same way. We played well last night. We just need to capitalize on our chances. Losing last night makes tonight a lot more important in the WCHL or whatever, so we're just focusing in and just taking it the same way. Just got to score on our chances.
Right. Now you have your brother on your team, David. Is there a little bit of a brother rivalry going on?
No, not at all. I mean, he's obviously played at a pretty high level. He's a good player. It's good to see him here, and I mean, I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with him this semester.
All right, good. Thanks a lot, Liam. Good luck. Back up to you guys. Welcome back to the intermission report, where we have a lopsided game right now as the Sun Devils are up 2-1 going into the second period. I'm Troy Lynch alongside Allison Cummings and Megan Plain. So, Allison, we saw after the first goal, scored by Ryan Belanger, a little bit of physicality, mainly coming by Connor Schmidt, trying to back his teammate up. But the whole game has been pretty physical in general. How has that been a factor in tonight's game?
Well, it's definitely strategy. Whenever you bring up physicality to head coach Greg Powers, he always says that's how every team comes out and plays them, because they're a very finesse team. Most teams can't match up with that. But you're talking about UCO. They're a very physical team. All of their guys are very, very big. Throwing the body works for them. And it's worked for them this whole entire year as the number 2 team. So they're going to use that strategy. It's whether or not Arizona State's going to get frustrated by it. That's really the big key there.
Yeah, normally ASU's used to kind of the physicality coming from other teams, but tonight seems to play a little bit more of a factor since it is 1 versus 2. Now, Megan, I'm going to bring it over to you. So ASU, they didn't have the lead the entire night against Oklahoma last night, but now they're up 2-1. How have they been able to bounce back?
I mean, they've just been much more aggressive. They've gotten more shots on goal compared to the other team, whereas last night they were kind of held back a little bit. So I think that that's going to give them a lot of confidence going into this second period, which is something they didn't have last night. And like she said, with the physicality, that's played a big part in this game. Now, we did see with McGovern, he was very physical with the guy he was covering, and it ended up to kind of not be too good for the Sun Devils, as that's when Harley scored against them. But if they can keep up their physicality and not let these guys get by, then they should be good to go in the second period.
And something else worth mentioning as well, Arizona State did lose to UCO earlier in the year. Yes. That adds a little bit of extra motivation, whereas Oklahoma last night, they beat them both times. They didn't really have that fire, because when Arizona State loses, I mean, you could see it in all of their faces when they come back into the locker room. It adds drive. They lost to UCO. They lost last night. They're really hungry to come out with a win. They're really hungry to play physical. Connor Schmidt, you brought him up. They had him kind of in a headlock, and then he's going to fight back. And Ed McGovern, like you mentioned, he laid out a beautiful hit. The guys kind of got past him a little bit there, which was unfortunate for ASU, but there you go. And
you mentioned that UCO did beat ASU earlier in this season. So ASU's they're up by 1 right now, not a huge lead. But how do they keep the lead or extend the lead?
Well, they have to keep playing physical. Forechecking is really important against a team like UCO. And again, just keep taking more and more shots. In hockey, I mean, this is like hockey 101, but the more shots you take, the bigger the chances of one going through. Because UCO's not going to let up. UCO can skate with Arizona State for the full 60 minutes. They have to have that in the back of their heads. But they have to watch that. They don't want to take any penalties. If it gets a little bit too physical, a little bit too chippy, things can get out of hand. Someone can end up in the box, and they could tie the game up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we still got a tight game going on right now. 2-1 in Arizona State's favor. I'm Troy Lynch. She's Allison Cummings. She's Megan Plain. And we got a fresh new 15 minutes of hockey for you coming up in the second period.
Back here in Tempe, it's 2-1. Sun Devils lead the Broncos. I'm Dominic Cotronio with Jason Chesler. Thanks for joining us. Right now, UCO will continue their power play that came at the end of the first period that has Chris Blessing in the box for a tripping call. There's 30 seconds left on that as they trail by 1. The goal scorers in the first period, it was UCO who struck first with Brand. Corner. UCO will go right to left on your screen, ASU left to right. And it could not be kept in by Josh White, a forward by trade, but he was a defenseman there, and not everybody cleared out of the zone, so it's offside. 4 seconds left in the power play.
Effective penalty kill by the Sun Devils. They struggled on both sides of the special teams coin last night. 1 for 2 were the Oklahoma Sooners on their power play chances. UCO looks like they'll be off to a less fortunate start on the 5-on-4 against the Sun Devils.
Barden wins the draw, and coming out of the box will be Blessing. So ASU at full strength to kill off the first penalty that they have to face. It comes in, a quick shot from Newmeyer. It got deflected into the nets before the scoreboard. 19:15 to go here in the second.
And again, as we see these teams return to even strength, it'll be interesting to see who's dictating the pace of play at the beginning of the second. UCO really came out up ahead at the beginning of the first period of action, forcing ASU to play their high-paced back-and-forth style of hockey.
Quick shot from Morris. They had to force a leg kick save for Caldwell.
The Sun Devils can ill afford to fall into that trap again as we start the second.
Newmeyer. Up ahead to Barden, who gives it to Maley, who kicks it to himself off his skate, bounces it off the boards, trying to work his way around LeBlanc. Morris is there. It's shoveled ahead by Formosa. A stab at it from Maley. It came loose and sent forward by Hole, and a poor pass trying to find Harley. Tossed up ahead and sent into the zone by Morris. ASU goes for a change with the top line coming out. Murphy slides in, gets the puck back right in front of the net. Could not get it from the doorstep. It got tipped to the nets again.
Typically speed an advantage for the UCO Broncos, but Sean Murphy remains the fastest player on the ice when this Sun Devil first line's out there. That's a rare matchup for the Broncos to find themselves facing. We saw it right there. Those defenders did not expect to be beaten to that puck by the Sun Devil winger.
Norris with 18:25 to go in the period. It's a turnover brought up by LeBlanc. Gives it over to the left side by Wellman. Dumps it in, trying to work around Alex Temby. He gets it, trying to knife it over to Murphy, and now it comes free to Liam Norris, a 2-on-2 with Rivard. Now Murphy trailing behind. Norris in the high slot, works over, back to Murphy, loses it for a moment. Now Rivard comes over to pick up the loose change. Drops it off, but he gets hit into the boards, and it's picked up by Meyer. Up ahead. Charging up is Wellman. From behind the cage, it couldn't get anything generated there. Kressner dove in from the points. 16, the defenseman. Outlet to Rivard, but he got clocked. A very good hit by Meyer. From Lucerne, Switzerland. There's another big check by a Bronco. This time it was Wyatt, but ASU holds possession. Norris goes for a half wind-up, but the stick got in the way from Andrew Hodder.
And again, we see just how dangerous this Broncos team is because of their ability to close out, their ability to make plays anywhere on the ice, including the neutral zone. Arizona State really needs to look into developing their offense off of situations like this, an attacking zone faceoff.
Belanger not happy about getting kicked out of the faceoff, so Blessing will dive in. He still wins the draw anyway. Jordan Young goes down to Kahn. Instead, it's the Blessing. He let it go by him. Rivera's there. Picked up again by Blessing. He finds Kahn, one of the few seniors, him and Norris, the only seniors on this roster. He sends in a saucer, try to find Belanger in front of the net. Now it is Ryan, the transfer up top. From the high slide, he catches iron. McGovern nearly hound Peter. Young on the near side, wheels it around, but again, Rivera causing a nuisance. Vezcan. Back around, Belanger below the cage, tries to backhand it up to the slot, nothing doing there. Blessing has it, Bounces it off the boards for Young. Sends it in down low, looking for a deflection with Kahn or Belanger. Did not get anything. Look out, here comes a Souvenir. Puck out of play.
That one splitting a couple fans out in the stands.
Well, one of them's wearing a Giants hat, so I'm okay with that if he missed it.
Dom letting your bleed A's green is my understanding.
Green collar baseball. But hey, we're at hockey right now, and the other green I support is victory green for the Dallas Stars. Here comes Chris Burkemper. He's got a charge in from Udez, but a nice glove save by Caldwell.
And Caldwell's showcased that he's a skilled goalkeeper pretty much all matchup long, but I think we're seeing the Broncos netminder really get a bit more settled in between the pipes here in this second period. He was giving up some rebounds early on in this one, letting some pucks squirt away. ASU wasn't really able to capitalize, but seeing him catch that puck glove side, smother, put it away, it's a good sign for the Broncos fans at home, cheering for UCO down 1-2.
LeBlanc goes back to the box, another minor penalty. This one comes at 3:34, and it's a slashing call. So ASU back on the power play the second time tonight. They've got Young, Murphy, McGovern, Norris, and Rivard as their unit. Murphy sends it down to Rivard, back to Murphy in the left circle, trying to find McGovern, who dipped down low. Young just barely got the tip of his stick on it to send it along to Murphy. Rivard touched it for a moment. UCO gets the clearance, though. So LeBlanc, at the end of this penalty, will serve 6 minutes already. We're not even halfway through the game. He served all the penalties for UCO. Murphy got tied up, tried to work his way around Grauer. Behind the cage, a bouncing puck, an odd hop with the rubber. Violent collision behind it, but everyone looks like they're all right. It was Rivard and Dooley. McGovern gets it back from Young. He tried to find Murphy, but it was behind him. Norris gets pushed up against the boards. Under a minute to go in the power play. The assistant up top to his fellow assistant, Young. Over to the right side, Murphy. Over to the right side again. A chance right in front for Rivard, but they get it anyway. Sean Murphy, his second goal in as many nights. ASU 3-1.
Throughout the entire first semester of play for the Arizona State Sun Devils, we saw more and more skill from Sean Murphy. There were times when Murphy looked unstoppable offensively on the ice. The only question was, could he finish his business? He struggled with his shot this year. Seems to come out in 2015. Maybe some modifications made over winter break, maybe just some added reps. His shots look pinpoint, firing the precision chance after Rivard couldn't quite connect from the slot, beating Torrey Caldwell.
So Murphy, for him, that's his 12th goal, 31st point. Norris and McGovern get assists on the play. So Norris has 2 points tonight. And now they got another chance for another. Burkemper, the lefty, shoots, and a collision with Caldwell. He made the save. UCO saying the Old Testament, don't touch my goalie.
Yeah, I think the
Harley
first
fell to
rule
the
in
ice
hockey,
there for a moment.
I think it was a trailing Drew Newmeyer there. You know, Newmeyer, a defenseman, not used to crashing the net that hard. They have just not been aware of where his body, where his stick was. I think Newmeyer actually got himself to the right of Torrey Caldwell. His stick was extended out to the left of him. That's what caught the Broncos netminder.
So now it looks like they're going to get Newmeyer for goalie interference. A fitting song also here at Oceanside.
In a game as chippy as this one, I agree, Dom. Sometimes, you know, I like intensity. I love rivalry matchups. But once you start getting a little bit too much of that extracurricular activity, once the game of hockey gets more violent than it already is, that's when I start to ask as well, Dom. Why can't we be friends?
Well, it's actually a charging call here against Newmeyer. But now UCO on their second power play. They go back and forth. Prigge sends it in down low. He tried to find Yee. This is a combination of the third line. Puck out of play. Right now the personnel is Brandon Formosa, Michael Rivera, Trevor Yee, as well as Matt Prigge on the ice for UCO.
Yeah, the Broncos have played with some interesting looks out on the 5-on-4. We've seen a lot of Michael Rivera, third-line center and really one of the main scoring threats for UCO, getting a look as a defenseman back along the blue line. with the extra man advantage.
The captain, Priggy, sent it over here to Rivera. He was defended by Belanger, gives it back to the captain. Comes in, hits off of Levin's mask, and he makes the save. He has been rock solid after allowing the first goal to Harley at 9.
Witness without facing a shot. He's done a good job to prevent any rust from setting in, keep himself in this game, and prevent a team like UCO, a team that really could get an attack started at any instant, from sneaking too much by him.
14 minutes to go here in the second. It's 3-1 Sun Devils. Belanger gets the turnover. Where they try for the shorthanded, they will not. Comes all the way back to the crease, but a poor touch by Caldwell. Too bad Murphy could not get his stick on it. Otherwise, he could have had a second goal in only about 4 minutes' time. Pass up now to Josh Wyatt. He enters in the zone, stops on a dime, but didn't really stop. He kept sliding on the soft ice, but he gets recovered by his teammate. Up top, a shot by Prower, and it goes high out of play.
Heady play by Ryan Belanger to get his stick on that low shot, extending his stick and his non-stick hand, making himself as wide as possible to deny as many passing and shooting angles across the middle of the attacking zone as he possibly could.
Grauer and Cooney on the draw. Cooney won it, but he passed it to the wrong man. Dooley swings it around now. It's handled by Wellman. Back to Dooley, that is Grauer. Good stick work by Blumgren. Murphy came in to help out. 25 seconds left in the power play. About 13 left in the period. A shot, but Kahn gets his stick on it. That one was from Sam Rice.
And a lot of veteran presence out on the ice for the Sun Devils right now. Really a number of players that they can rely on for this power play. You get the captain, Brett Blumgren. You get a good veteran like Fez Khan. Again, energy and excitement and physicality. Those are things Fez Khan and Brett Blumgren bring to the table for a PK unit. But there's also plenty of discipline involved with killing out an extra man advantage.
Kahn kept his stick active, came up top to LeBlanc. Over to the left side, a shot and a goal. Chad Rorda gets a power play goal right at the end of the penalty. And it's now 3-2 UCO Trails.
And you know, Rorda, a monster out there, a big hulking defenseman. You wouldn't believe a team would be able to forget about him on the ice, considering the amount of ice he takes off. But that's exactly what happened for the Sun Devils. Tommy Cooney and Alex Temby, two of the younger players on the Sun Devil roster, they broke down the 2x2 box the Sun Devils had going. They drifted a little bit too much towards Robert Levin's glove side, the far side of the ice. That left wide open stick side, Chad Rorda.
So Rorda gets the goal. Assists will come from Trevor Yee, and that's it. So it came at 7:04, a power play goal. Rorda from Yee on the penalty from Newmeyer that he served for charging. There's only 7 seconds left on that clock. But now there's about 12 and a half left in this second period, and it's a one-goal game again. Connor Maley comes in with his fourth line. Barden streaking in. Caldwell allowed a rebound, but Maley could not get there.
And we're really seeing the Sun Devils take these breakaway chances in deep. It backfired against them once, of course, that charging penalty against Drew Newmeyer. But for the most part, ASU able to almost take a page out of UCO's book, really tried to turn these transition chances into major scoring opportunities.
UCO coming back the other way. It squirts back behind to Hull. One-on-one with the Levin, and he stymies him. He tried to go 5-hole, but Levin was having none of it. Gavin has it again. Poor contact with the tape there, but he gets back his mistake. A spinning pass, a spinorama pass, if you will, over to the far side. Meyer sends it down low. And a whistle. Out of play.
Yeah, touched off the netting. Incredible read on the one-on-one by Robert Levin. This should be a tie game. The hesitation move, so often a great move in the game of hockey, especially collegiate hockey, where these players are a little bit less experienced than the guys you'll see skating up, lacing up the skates in the NHL. Hull made a hesitation move, and Levin just read it. Heads-up play, good guessing game maneuver by the Sun Devil netminder.
Connor Schmidt now dealing with that is Johnson's stick. Rivard missed the connection as it goes all the way back to Levin. No icing, though. Connor will run the offense. He was defended for a moment, and now it's brought back up to the offensive zone. Murphy looking for another one. Rebound allowed. Rivard comes in on the weak side and scores. 4-2 ASU.
Once again, Sean Murphy's speed opens up so many windows for this Sun Devil lineup. Eric Rivard able to keep up with his line mate, with his wing partner, advancing on the far side. Murphy took control of that puck on the near side with great pace. Caldwell was able to rotate over to his glove side, defend the near post, but when that puck went ricocheting off of his leg blocker, fell right into the midst of Eric Rivard. And we've seen Rivard's finishing all year long. As the goal awarded to Sean Murphy, they'll reverse that eventually. Eric Rivard put that goal away as we've seen him do all year. Eric Rivard maybe the best of any Sun Devil forward at finishing his plate.
So if you heard it over the PA, it's wrong. The goal goes to Eric Rivard, assists to Sean Murphy and Connor Schmidt. Far side, Eric Rivard entering for another. Newmeyer, a slap shot. It didn't leave another inch off the ice and went too far to the right. Norris couldn't touch that in the zone. Now it squirts free for a moment. Roared. Popped up over to the far side, and going over to retrieve it is Ryland. Sends it forward. He was in front of the red line, so they play on. Schmidt with the backhand. 10:45 to go here in the second. Norris with the back of the blade. Gives it to Rivard. He kicks it forward. Dangerous moment there in front of the net. Murphy was charging in. Nice touch at center ice by Newmeyer to pass it along for Kahn. It comes behind the net. Caldwell's there. In the meantime, ASU gets a new unit. 4-2 Sun Devils. Second period. Some dekes and some luck comes in. A shot. It goes a catch for Levin. It might have got caught in the net as well. Rivera with the shot. They don't know where it is. Or it's stuck inside between the twine and the, I don't know what the material is really called, but that white spot at the bottom of the net, that it's almost like a pocket perfectly for it.
And we've certainly seen anything that could go wrong with the netting here this weekend. A number of times in the Oklahoma matchup, that OU net came off.
A shot and a block attempt by Kahn, but it went wide. Blomgren back around to Fez. He gets hit before he gets it out of the zone. Cooney chasing it down. Got his stick on it, keeps it in the zone as well. But down there clearing it is Yee. Sent back in quickly by the senior. We're past the halfway point. All the way up to Rivera. A high stick off of the back of Levos's blade. Yee charges in. Blomgren swipes that one away. Comes back here to the high point. Down low. Handled there by Wyatt. Far side. It's Blessing. Or Kahn, rather. Here comes Blessing on the weak side. Caldwell got there first. Sent over to the right side. Belanger in front a chance, but Kahn had it bounce up high and pop to the nets.
And the Sun Devils certainly getting the better of this exchange the past several minutes. I'd still be fearful if I was Coach Greg Powers or anyone on this ASU bench. They are increasing the pace of play. They're getting a bit more of a back and forth style of play going out on the ice. That's UCO's game plan. That's the way the Broncos want to beat the Sun Devils. I still think Arizona State should try to settle things down, especially off the offensive zone faceoff.
Burkemper trying to navigate through the slot. Cooney loses his glove, but he's going to play on. He tries to send a centering feed, but it's UCO coming in. Udez gets in there, and he got shoved hard from Harley. Formosa tried to get into the slot, but instead it comes back to ASU. They had a 3-on-2 opportunity. Now it's the other way for UCO. ASU gets back on defense quickly, though. Given up to Harley, but offsides is the call.
And again, you see things starting to muck up in the neutral zone. This real back and forth style of hockey right now. ASU getting the better of it the past several minutes. But I've got to reiterate, this is the UCO game plan. They want to keep things sloppy in the neutral zone. They want to get their breakaway opportunities because they're as good as anyone at finishing on an odd man rush.
Young to Barden. His pass was knocked down for a moment, and now comes back the other way. Maley chasing it down. Icing is called, though, against ASU.
And a player like Connor Maley, he's invaluable in a matchup like this. Maley, not a guy who always sees action. He's worked on a number of different lines this season, and that's because he can really add something to any combination that he's out playing with. He's a high-energy player. He's a high-pressure player. Yes, he might not score as many goals as the likes of an Eric Rivard or create as many chances as the Liam Norris, but he can provide contributions on the offensive and defensive sides of the ice.
Over to the right side. Dooley has his pass stolen. Maley coming in. A backhand blocker save for Caldwell. Another chance for Connor. Working his way around. Tries to wrap around and went just past Caldwell. Up high. Hits the very top of the glass and finds its final resting place in the soft spot of the net in front of the ASU penalty box. 8:11 to go.
The Sun Devil offense, you can tell when it's firing on all cylinders because that's when UCO's forced to clear pucks like that. UCO wants nothing more than for the Sun Devils to bring their offense forward so that the Broncos can make a stretch pass out of their defensive zone, look for a breakaway chance, look for the odd man rush, look for a scoring opportunity. If UCO is forced to clear that puck, send it into the netting, even better for the Sun Devils. That's how you can tell that Arizona State's really controlling their offensive possession.
8:11 to go. It's 4-2 ASU in the second period. Goals this period come from Murphy and Rivard. Backhanded out by Wellman. Knocked down for a moment by Daughtry. Wellman goes over behind the cage, losing it. Schmidt is there. Norris. Now Liam picks it up and gives it over to Newmeyer. You know, we mentioned it earlier how Blessing is on playing now. I don't even see David Norris on the bench right now for ASU.
Must have been a last-minute change. We see the line sheet. The way we had it described to us certainly was David Norris returning to that second line as he did in his Sun Devil debut last night against Oklahoma. Maybe a last-second scratch for the newest Sun Devil winger.
Norris tried jumping in. A poor touch for a moment there by Kressner. Now has to come back for Rivera. Caldwell leaves the blue and just gets a touch on it. Rivard tried to get in it. Far side, it's brought up by Meyer. Tries to drop it off for Yee. Schmidt gets in the way of that one. And now a restart coming the other way. Pass at center ice, touched up there for a moment. Murphy tried to chase it down. Rivera touches up, try to find it up ahead to Wyatt. Norris hit it with a high stick. The icing will be called, though, against UCO and Meyer.
And as we watch UCO attempt to counterattack, you really see the improvement over the course of the season that the Sun Devil defense has happened. Pretty much every Sun Devil defensive pairing is new this year, so when ASU traveled to Oklahoma to take on UCO, you would see players like Trevor Yee getting behind those Sun Devil defensive pairings. Their communication's gotten better, their positioning has gotten stronger, and that's why the Sun Devil defense hasn't been carved up by this UCO fast-paced transition-style attack like what happened in Oklahoma.
6:52 to go here in the second. Temby sent it down low to Kahn. Centering feed. Blessing had a deflection. It would have been a friendly fire. Coming in was Wyatt trying to interfere with that one. Temby to Belanger. His entrance pass to Blessing. Had Rivera find himself in front of it. Now he has the puck in front of him. Falling. Getting back up. Dumps it in and changes. Blomgren to Kahn. Back to center ice. A dump by Yee. 4-2 ASU. Belanger. Now to Kahn. He's got Blessing waiting on the right wing. Now he streaks in on the right side. Backhand through, trying to find a slot with Temby crashing in. Belanger keeps it, though. Comes out to Prigge. But his clearance attempt off the glass was too high and goes to out of play.
And again, Prigge wants to find his forward, skating forward, leaking out into the neutral zone to try to make something happen. But the Sun Devils able to smother this puck, create these dominating offensive possessions so effectively here in the last 6 or 7 minutes of the second period that UCO has not been able to practice their game plan.
Young has to let everyone clear out, try to find Udi, and now it's Acuni. We'll send it around the corner. He gets knocked into the boards. Burkemper. 5.5 minutes. Burkemper. A shot goes up high. It bounces almost over the net. Backhand attempt by Udez, but it's covered by Caldwell.
Udez tracked that puck well from right in front of Torrey Caldwell, able to make surprisingly good contact, swatting that puck out of the air. Apparently it didn't catch Torrey Caldwell by surprise, however, able to pin that puck between his chest protector and his glove, defending things glove side.
Cooney loses the draw to Grauer. It's brought up by Nolan. And he gets around Cooney with a dangle and a toe drag. Instead, it comes back. It's just neutral zone. Dooley now. A block by Levin. Now here comes a delayed penalty. It'll be against UCO. And there's the touch. An interference call.
Not a penalty the Broncos can really afford to take right now. Obviously trailing by 2 heading into the third period. Certainly not the worst position UCO could be in. But they were really looking to start their counterattack again. We've seen the Sun Devils control this game for the past several minutes, and now ASU will remain in control for at least 2 minutes more with this 5-on-4 advantage.
Grauer in the box, 2 minutes for interference. The last time ASU on a power play, they scored. It was a Sean Murphy goal. So here with 4:50 to go, they have the man advantage. Young, McGovern, try to stretch it back over to Murphy, but a UCO stick got in the way to the nets.
And now Arizona State, always dangerous off the offensive zone faceoff, never more so than when they're on the power play. Norris controls this one, but a good quick clearance by UCO, dialing up the pressure off of the faceoff, because once the Sun Devils start dictating that play in their attacking zone, Arizona State not a team that's going to make a mistake and allow the Broncos to clear the puck.
Murphy, with Wyatt defending him, comes in on the left wing. Lost his footing for a moment, and that was just enough to allow Rorta to come in. It's still stuck in the corner, and now it's handled by Norris up top to Young. Bluffs, one-timer, McGovern, again he gets the iron. His second shot that catches the post. Young gets it down low to Rivard. Norris back and forth. Up top to Young. Far side, Murphy touches up for McGovern. Back and forth there. Another one-time attempt. This one a whiff. Norris picks it up in the slot, wheels around to the dot. Try to weave it all the way over to Young. But UCO got in the way. 48 seconds left in the power play. Murphy down low to Rivard, trying to backhand it in. Caldwell got there first. Norris. Back to Rivard. Murphy, defended by Wyatt. Young, 2 bodies there quickly. McGovern bluffs. One-timer for Murphy. Came up high on the Caldwell, but it was a high-quality shot. Bounces high out of play.
Effective lateral movement by Caldwell, getting from his stick side over to the glove side, and a pinpoint precision shot by Sean Murphy. Murphy's shot looking really solid tonight. When Sean Murphy's shooting lights out, there are very few things he can't do offensively. He's got pace, he's got vision, he's got skill. If he can shoot as well, that's quite the offensive threat to add to this Sun Devil repertoire.
26 seconds to go in the power play, 3:24 to go in the second. ASU up 4-2. Crashing in was Blessing and was knocked for a moment and lost control of the puck, and it just slid to the hands of Caldwell.
And yes, the stoppage, a big advantage for UCO. The solid save that deflected the shot into the netting, allowing the Broncos to change their lines. The 4 men who were out defending that lengthy Sun Devil possession for about a full minute of that power play, you had to imagine they were getting physically and mentally worn down out playing penalty kill defense.
Final seconds of the power play. Belanger will lead the final charge. He sends it in, but it was deflected away by Kressner, and that expires a power play. So Broncos at full strength. Kahn. Schmidt. Now to Belanger. Up top. Newmeyer, his one hits the post as well. Did it find its way behind Caldwell? He's on the seat of his pants, and I think he covered it. No signal, and it is a no goal. He covered.
Sun Devil down to the right of the net, but looks like Fez Khan will return to his feet. And you know, Dom, the post can be a defensive player's best friend in the game of hockey. For the Sun Devil Blue Liners tonight, though, it's been their worst enemy. Pair of shots ricocheted hard off the post by Ed McGovern, and Drew Newmeyer, a guy whose shot has improved so much this season, finding the post as well.
2:43 to go, both teams at full strength. Rivard, a quick shot off the face-off win, just wide. Sent around by Wellman, but Murphy is there waiting. Crashes in, his misses as well and goes out of play. Headed for the ASU locker room.
These last 2.5 minutes of this period, the Sun Devils can't get complacent in the offensive zone. ASU's really been dictating the pace of play here in the second half of this second period. But if they get a little sloppy, allow a turnover, and allow UCO to stretch out in front, the Broncos can turn a stretch pass into a goal very quickly.
Priggy, the captain, working with it, goes over to the far side. Johnson missed his chance. Murphy again. He's been all over it tonight. A shot. Rebound allowed. It's loose in the slot. Backhanded away by UCO. Schmidt gets it down low again to the crease. A check applied there by a Bronco. That was on to Murphy, working both wings. Schmidt couldn't keep it in. It slides down, no icing. Levin leaves his crease and will opt for the cover with two blue sweaters hunkering down.
And Sean Murphy really having an exceptional second period. He's been doing it all for the Sun Devils offensively. A legitimately multi-tooled player. He's a player you can send back on a penalty kill unit to play defense from the forward position. He can anchor as a center of a offensive line, and he can play out wide on the wings like he's done tonight.
He's got a goal and an assist tonight. Rivard has 2 goals. Norris has 2 assists. Schmidt has 2 assists as well. 1:43 to go in the second. It's 4-2 Devils. Maley gets his legs in the way and has the puck, but a couple of blue sweaters get around him quickly. LeBlanc is one of them. Forces a turnover. Comes back up top to Harley, but he loses it at center ice. Dumped in. Maley is there. One of the freshmen. Maley still working in the corner. Try to find Barden. Morris came in, but it's brought up. It's a 3-on-2 chance. Formosa, a poor shot attempt, and it was sticked away by Levin. Came another one up front on him, but ASU gets it out. A minute to go. Far side. UCO has it. Now they chip it up to neutral ice, and Jordan Young almost had a Matrix moment there, grabbing it, thought he had it, but he just deflected it away. Burkemper now finds his way into the zone. His shot attempt is blocked, and now it goes back away to the far boards. Udez hits the ice. 30 seconds to go in the second period. Dooley lost it. Cooney has it. Passes it to himself off the boards. 20 seconds. Burkemper. Back to Cooney. Comes in and Caldwell covers, but Cooney got hit, maybe a stick to the midsection as he rolls on the ice and gets back up.
Tommy Cooney, a player who plays so quickly and is willing to go so deep offensively when he gets one-on-ones with a goalkeeper. He takes a lot of hits most nights. Cooney tonight in particular has been knocked around out on the ice. A well-deserved, well-earned moment of rest for Tommy Cooney as the Sun Devils' second line returns to the ice.
10 seconds. Newmeyer tries to push it ahead. Now it's popped up high by Priggy, bouncing down to ASU's offensive zone. Schmidt's going to take it and kill the time. Comes all the way up. There's the horn. That does it here for the second period. A 4-2 lead for ASU. They extend their lead 2-1 that period. Rorta with the lone goal for the Broncos. ASU from Murphy and Rivard. 10 shots on net for ASU and even 9 almost for UCO as well. So, Jason, now ASU has a bigger lead, and they're finally enjoying themselves this weekend in 2015. How do they make sure they don't let this 2-goal lead get away from them in the third period?
And exactly, Dom. The 2-goal lead, perhaps the most dangerous lead in hockey. A little bit of a trap. The Sun Devils have to continue to play very cleanly going into this third period of action. The Sun Devils have been able to really dictate the style of play throughout the second. They've been able to get their kind of signature long offensive possessions. But if those long possessions get sloppy, a team like Central Oklahoma, they can pounce on a loose puck in their defensive zone, make an outlet pass to the neutral zone, and carry it all the way through for a goal. Arizona State has to keep the passing crisp and not allow any UCO offensive players behind their blue liners.
A trio of players with 2 points already tonight for ASU, including Rivard, Schmidt, and Murphy. If the trend continues, who gets your first star tonight?
That's tricky, Dom. You know, we have 4 players playing particularly well for the Devils, and there are 4 players who've been playing particularly well all season long. The aforementioned Rivard, Schmidt, and Murphy, and of course Liam Norris as well. These guys have carried the load for the Sun Devils all year. I got to give the nod to Sean Murphy as my top star right this moment, though. He's done a lot on both sides of the ice on the PK unit, in addition to offensively.
All right, that does it for us up here in the booth. 4-2 at the end of 2. Now we send it down to Troy Lynch with another interview.
I used to play sports. Hi, I'm Troy Lynch, standing right next to the one and only Eric Rivard. So, Eric, you scored a goal earlier in the second period. Can you kind of talk about what your mindset was like?
Murph just was driving wide. I was the second guy, so just go to the net. That's where you're going to score goals. So he just made a nice shot on that, nice low shot, and good rebound. And that's an easy goal for me, just throw in the net. So good play by him.
And after last night, giving up 5 goals, tonight only giving up 2. How's the defense changed for your team?
I think before the game, coach made a note of it, and I think all the boys are really buying into playing better defense. So I think that's where we're at, and just got to keep it up here one more period. So.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. All right, and that's all you heard from Eric. I'm Troy Lynch. Back up to you guys. Welcome back to Oceanside Ice Arena, where the Sun Devils have extended their lead by 2 points as they lead the Central Oklahoma Broncos 4-2. I'm Troy Lynch, and alongside me we have Allison Cummings and Megan Plain. Allison, I'm going to turn to you first, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
Obviously. So, the first line, we have Eric Rivard and we have Sean Murphy, both putting up goals and assists. How have they been so effective in tonight's game?
Well, first of all, I want to take this approach to answer that question.
Okay.
If I could make an ideal line, I would want to have someone who's really speedy, really fast. You need to throw a great playmaker on there, and you need a mucker, someone who can get in those dirty areas, throw the body, and lay a couple hits. What do you get? Sean Murphy, Liam Norris, Eric Rivard. You have Liam Norris, the playmaker. Sean Murphy, he's so fast and so creative, and Eric Rivard can throw the body and is a very gritty player. Those guys work so well together because they can feed off of each other. You need some versatility on a line. Coach Powers is so enthusiastic about that line because he knows this. He said he'd love for the Norris brothers to play together, but he's going to hold off on that because unless that line stops producing, why take Liam off of a line that's working so well? If they continually prove every single game, they work very well.
Right, and so Allie likes the first line. Megan, I'm going to go to you. Who's been a standout player in your eyes besides the first line?
Oh, man, I was going to pick the same line as her. Honestly, I think the first line has done a great job tonight. Their chemistry together is fantastic. They work so well together, so I'm going to have to agree with Allie on that one, the first line.
All right. Well, okay. Well, defensively, we have a whole nother story. Last night, the Arizona State Sun Devils, they give up 5 goals. Right now, they only have gotten 2. Allie, what do you think has changed in their lineup, or what have they done to improve their game defensively?
I don't think it's so much a change in defense. I think Arizona State played very well yesterday. I just think that Oklahoma applied a lot of pressure, and it was very difficult for them to deal with it. And I think it's a little bit extra hunger, maybe. But I think that they're just regrouping. The pairings work really well together. I love Connor Schmidt and Drew Newmeyer. I think that they're a great pair. I think Ed McGovern and Jordan Young work really well together. And I'm also enjoying watching Tim B play with D-Boss.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
keys to the third period, what do you think they are for both the Sun Devils and the Broncos?
I think they both need to stay aggressive in the third period, lay hits on each other, and I think they need to stay out of the penalty box because in that second period, both teams got a power play goal. So I think that's a big key too because we saw that when you have that power play opportunity, they're going to take advantage of it. So lay hits, but don't get yourself in the penalty box.
Right, and physicality definitely has not let up at all. Both teams putting on more penalties, and they're staying extremely physical. Allie, going into the third period, do you kind of let up a little bit, or do you just gotta keep pushing, put all your energy out there?
You absolutely want to keep pushing, and you don't want to let up. But going back to your point on the penalties, penalty timing is incredibly important. They're gonna happen. Minor penalties in hockey are such a normal thing. They happen all the time. But the timing of those penalties is so important because if you just let it up at the wrong second, you can give the other team some momentum to get back in the game. UCO may be losing, but they are certainly not out of this fight. I want to remind you guys that it was Rivera that got the hat trick when Arizona State faced them earlier in the year. He's on the third line. This team is really deep. So any of those lines can score. Just like Arizona State, every single line needs to contribute and hustle. But they don't want to take too many penalties because you don't want to wear out the special teams. So
Still got a lot of game left to play in the third period. I'm Troy Lynch. She's Allison Cummings, and she's Megan Plains. Stay tuned for the last period of tonight's match, and we're going to send it back to Dom and Jason before the period.
Back to Tempe. You ready for the final 20 minutes here? 4-2 Sun Devils lead the Broncos. I'm Dominic Catronio with Jason Chesler here on Cronkite Sports. Jason, what's got to change now for the Broncos heading into this third period if they want to surmount this 2-goal deficit?
The Broncos need to be willing to take some initiative to generate offense on their own. Arizona State's playing pretty much as crisply as they can be. They're not making the costly turnovers that the Broncos can pounce on for transition chances. UCO needs to really dial up the pressure, force mistakes, and if those mistakes aren't being made, look to generate offense the old-fashioned way instead of looking for the counterattack.
And for ASU on the other end, how do they maintain this 2-goal lead and maybe extend it?
Keep things crisp, Dom. Keep the passing as clean as can be. Avoid costly turnovers and penalties. Arizona State's shown the ability to dictate the pace of this game. If they play their game cleanly, I see no reason why they can't extend this 2-goal lead out to 3 or 4.
So we switch back to how it was in the first period. ASU going from right to left, UCO left to right. Barden gives it over to the right side now. Turned back around by Maley to Barden. He drops it off for him. Gets crunched up onto the boards. Back and forth. Temby sent it back down low. He's waiting for it there. Now across the Levos, but they could not do it. Wyatt gets in front of it. Coming into the zone. A shot and caught by Levin.
And there you see that quick-fire approach UCO's taken so far in this game. I think at this point I'd like to see the Broncos slow things down a little bit. Turn those into longer form offensive possessions. Maybe UCO can make something happen off the attacking zone face-off.
Comes in quickly on the Levin, but he manages it as well.
Again, the quick shot against a goalie like Robert Levin, it can certainly be frustrating to send shot after shot in and see him turn them away. You got to develop something a little stronger than the first available shot if you're the Broncos.
Connor Schmidt looking for the exit pass to Sean Murphy. Off his skate, he still handles it. Great handling all the way in, but from behind, good defense by Meyer. Tic-tac-toe with Rivard trying to go 5-hole, but a good save by Caldwell.
Good puck movement from the Sun Devils right out of the gate. Again, we see Sean Murphy creating chances with his speed, with his puck control. That time it almost led to a Hattie. Eric Rivard sitting on 2 goals tonight.
Norris wins the draw, gives it to Rivard, leaks up top to Newmeyer. A push down low. It rolls off the back of the cage and picked up by Prigge. Poor pass. Icing is the call. The race by Rice was not won.
And again, you see UCO moving forward in numbers, maybe dialing up the neutral zone pressure, looking for more options to try and overwhelm the backtracking Arizona State Blue Liners. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter how many forwards you have in front if you're not completing passes. UCO needs to tighten the screws a little bit, turn those offside calls, those icing penalties, into some real chances.
Chance in front, Norris. No, it was just deflected away enough by Dooley, who pushes it the other way. Rice could not get there. Schmidt exited it. Now bounces back into the zone. A smash up along the boards, but now to Liam Norris. Murphy with some room to skate. He's got his man beat. Crashing in on the Caldwell. He scores! 5-2, Sun Devil, Sean Murphy. His second goal of the night.
Sean Murphy has been the difference tonight. 2 goals, 2 assists. Murphy doing to the Broncos what the Broncos were able to do to the Sun Devils at Central Oklahoma. Too quick for the defenders, got himself behind the UCO Blue Liners and into the attacking zone. And from there, we've seen just how much Sean Murphy has worked on his shot this season. He finished his plate and burned Torrey Caldwell.
It's not a hat trick, though, even though the announcer is saying it is.
ASU Madness did throw his cowboy hat in the air, however. We can all appreciate that.
Icing call here against UCO. It is not his 3rd goal of the game. I'm sorry if you're hearing that right now. Oh, I hate it when misinformation comes out over the loudspeakers. So that's his second. Rivard has 2 as well. They had
One fan did just launch a hat into the netting that prevents pucks from reaching into the stands.
Not his brightest moment there.
A valiant effort.
It is a beer night. Now a penalty against ASU. They're up by 3 with 17:55 to go in regulation. but now they'll have to go back on the penalty kill. They're 1 for 2 tonight, just as they were last night, but it is Blessing again. It's a trip call. Identical to his call in the first period.
Yeah, so
that they
repeat
killed
offender
off.
is Chris Blessing.
McGovern pounds it down for the clearance. So at 2:05 here in the third period, Blessing with a tripping call. The goal for Murphy at 150 from Norris. Wheeled in by Formosa. In the corner. Hole. Formosa joins in. They're all just taking their shots at it like a miner with a pickaxe. Now goes all the way around to the far side. Kept in by Rivera. But now a chance if they want to push it forward. Ryan Belanger, one man to beat, it's Prigge. Tries to dangle his way forward, but collides with the net, nearly with Caldwell as well. That would have been a gorgeous move. And also, it's going to be a tripping call.
Belanger not able to make the highlight reel goal, is able to even up the numbers on the ice. He burned Prigge on that play. He was able to make the extra move. Ended up hitting his back against the boards behind the netting at the end of that one, but Belanger seems all right. He skated off, no problems.
So 3 minutes into the period, we have 4-on-4 hockey for another minute, and then ASU gets a power play on the back end of that. Levas. Dooley comes in behind him. These two meet again tomorrow night at 7:30. Same place. The last meeting of these two teams this year. Left side, a shot, but it was deflected high and over the net. Rice tried to pick it up, and he had it pickpocketed by Cooney. Burkemper comes up the left side. Plenty of speed for Tommy. He gets knocked into, though, by Meyer. And he picks up the puck. Goes over to the far side. He missed his man, Wellman. Another miss on the pass from Blomgren. 20 seconds left in 4-on-4. Blom to Burkemper to McGovern. 16 minutes to go in the game. Blessing getting ready to come back out of the box. Cooney feeds it over. A chance in front. Burkemper. Too easy. He scores. 6-2 Sun Devils.
What effective puck movement by the Sun Devils. Using and abusing the extra open ice space created by the 4-on-4 with one of the duos that the Sun Devils have kept paired together all year long, Tommy Cooney and Chris Burkemper. We see Cooney breaking up the far side of the ice. Ed McGovern does one of his most oft-forgotten skills. We know what McGovern can do with his slap shot. We know how hard-hitting Ed McGovern can be. But Ed McGovern advances towards the slot as well as any defenseman in the ACHA Men's Division I. McGovern essentially serving as the center, getting a stick or perhaps just screening the goalie as he was not awarded an assist on that play, and allowing that puck all the way through to Chris Burkemper for the goal.
Blessing out of the box. ASU on the power play with 45 seconds left on that. Norris sends it in and slides it all the way around to the other side. Murphy gives it up to Rivard, a shot just to the right of the post. Jordan Young over to pick it up. Back D-to-D with McGovern. Gives it to Young. His shot is blocked by a UCO player who was charging in, was Formosa. Trying to get something, but ASU up by 4 goals with about 15 minutes to go. Exactly what they need to get rebound from last night's loss, their third of the year. Rivard had the hair behind him, but he still picks it up. It's still handled by Eric. Time winding down, and now Prigge's out of the box. Here comes a shot and a save by Levin from Yee. Now some shoving, some comments about each other's mothers in front of the net, but we play on with 14:55 to go.
And a team that crashes the net as hard as UCO, you expect to see maybe even a little bit more extracurricular activities out in front. I think that was Curtis Johnson getting into things right in front of Robert Levin, along with Jared Morris.
A slide into the slot, but Neumeyer's there. Jared Morris, he let it go. It fooled the defender. Kressner comes in front. Caldwell Had to go behind the cage. Picked up there by Barden. Missed by Maley. And now in front of the half boards. Yee is there. Touched up ahead, and they've got something brewing. Josh allows a rebound, but nothing else. Another chance here. It's kept in. Sliding puck into the slot. Bounce around, but Schmidt sends it to the half boards. Morris dropped his stick for a moment to block that, and Trevor Yee has to retreat. Belanger comes in on defense, and it's dumped in, icing called.
And there we have it, really the best offensive possession for the UCO Broncos of the last 15 minutes or so, and all it leads to is an impressive save and a rebound allowed from Robert Levin. Frustrating for any UCO fans, frustrating for this UCO team to finally generate some offense and just run into a brick wall between the pipes like the Sun Devil netminder.
Rivera wheels back around. And now it looks like a timeout was called. Central Oklahoma calls it with 14:07 to go here in the third period. There you see the score. Jason, what's really jumped out at you early on here in this third period?
You know, as the Sun Devils were returning to their bench, we heard a voice, I think ASU coach Greg Powers, telling the team, don't let up, don't let up. That's what the Sun Devils have done for the first 6 minutes of this third period, and he's very right. That's what they need to do for the remaining 14:07. This team took an advantage, and they've really done more than just sit on that advantage. They've continued to apply pressure. They've continued to play a crisp game of hockey, and they've even survived an offensive outburst from UCO, in large part thanks to Robert Levin.
It can help their own case after last night's loss. You know, number 2 team, naturally you think, oh, number 1 loses, you could slide up, but it just works out for ASU that they get a chance with the number 2 team at a date. They can really convince everybody and the computers that, look, you make this 8-3 even, this is still the number 1 team in the land.
Absolutely. Arizona State can make a statement. Number 1 versus number 2, I think always a statement game, regardless of the circumstances.
Back to the action, Fez Khan. Into the corner, he lost it for a moment, and it's now brought up by UCO. And a steal quickly. Blessing gives it to Newmeyer, who dumps. Covered by Caldwell, though.
You gotta wonder what the message was in the UCO huddle, in the UCO bench. Seems like a strategically timed timeout, not a time you would typically expect a coach to put in the word to stop the game from the bench. You gotta imagine the Broncos might be changing up the game plan a little bit, try and add more offense, apply more pressure here, down 4 with 13.5 to go.
Belanger, Khan tied up there on the boards with Hodder, and puck comes up high. It avoids the ceiling, though. Newmeyer back to get it. The Scottsdale native gives it along to Belanger, who at center ice just touches up and goes for a change. Sam Rice, defended by Temby, collides with Cooney. Dooley comes in onto the behind the net. It might have caught a little bit of the twine, but on the wrong side. Udez to Khan in his second game of the year. Sent it in, but blocked down by Caldwell. Harley, he scored the first goal of tonight's game, sends it in, but handled by Levin with 12:53 to go and a 6-2 advantage for the Maroon and Gold.
And there's an opportunity where I really want to see these Broncos forwards take that puck in deeper. Yes, ASU had defenders back, but the Broncos had space. UCO had room to work with out on the ice. They could have worked Levin back and forth a little bit, tried to at least work the goalie instead of firing a shot straight into him.
Both guys will head out of here as Formosa and Cooney. So Udez and Hole. And Gavin wins it. On the far corner, Blomgren is there, putting a shield onto Hole. Picked up now. Harley a shot. It was deflected wide. Burkemper got spun off of the puck. Defended by Rorta. He has the second goal for UCO. The defenseman waiting at the point for the puck to come his way. But now it's ASU on a counter. Udez goes over to pick it up on the far side. Burkemper with him. Sends a shot. Try to go stick side, but it missed. Cooney picks up the puck. Goes down to the far corner now. Udez. Rorda. Comes free. Hole. 12:05 to go. No ice call, so ASU have to retrieve it. Young, Blomgren, Barden, Morris, and Maley, the personnel for ASU. A nice move by Barden to pass it to himself. Gets it into Morris, but it was out of his reach. Meyer got in the way of that. Now back at center ice. Back and forth here. McGovern tried to come it all the way up to Morris. Barden had it stolen. Dumped in that time by Shane Califf, the extra man tonight for UCO. Meyer comes in, works towards the slot, did not get to Levin. Barden, a little chip up ahead to Morris. This could work out. Just got a little too deep, though. Now he's defended by a Bronco. Back to center ice. Brought up by Wellman. Could not keep it on his tape, and he collides into the net. He could not stop in time.
Still, I like the idea from Wellman. I like the development from the UCO. Taking that puck in deep, trying to make something happen, trying to slip behind the Sun Devil Blue Liners and get a legitimate chance at Robert Levin instead of just trying to fire from a distance on the Sun Devil goalie.
Draw one by Norris. Young to Murphy. A stretch pass to Rivard off the boards, but it's sniped away by Wyatt. McGovern with Rivera behind him manages to find Norris. Liam sends it ahead. Icing waved off. Here comes Murphy. No! Just a bit too high on the chip and goes out of play.
I think that's the first shot not on target that we've seen from Sean Murphy all night. He's been firing on point so far in this one. Quite the night from the Sun Devil right winger.
10:41 to go. Schmidt couldn't keep it. Coming in to try to steal it back for UCO was Trevor Yee, but it's still Newmeyer. Murphy, he's got 2 goals tonight. An assist. Even though PA announcer said he had a hat trick. They mis-awarded Rivard a goal. That was really Murphy's, and he tries to get his hat trick there into the slot with the backhand, but denied. Finds Murphy at the left dot. A wide open Connor Schmidt, a shot, and it got blocked down by a wall of Broncos coming in front of him.
Really one of just a few defenseman chances we've seen so far in this one. We've seen Drew Newmeyer and Ed McGovern both send shots off the post, but with UCO's counterattacking style of play, much like Oklahoma's style of play last night, we haven't seen the likes of Connor Schmidt really get chances to creep forward across that blue line.
Belanger trying to scrape it with his skate. A poor touch by Dooley, and he gets greeted with plexiglass in front of the scorer's table. Kahn spins it forward. Blessing comes from behind the cage on the far side. Priggy trying desperately to get it out of his zone. 9:30 to go in regulation. It's 6-2 ASU. Rice comes in, avoids Levos's check, finds it towards the net. Dooley trying to chase it down, and the Chandler native is there again. Levos finds it, tries to hit it off the boards. Rice uses his skate to keep it there. Dooley dangles in, trying to find his way to the slot. It's still there, and a whistle. Did the net come off again?
The net's being a little bit problematic this weekend here at Oceanside. Here's some frustration from the UCO bench after that stoppage. The Broncos really developing a rare scoring chance that time. Good individual efforts bringing the puck across the center of the ice, but not a lot doing. Once the Broncos made their way into their attacking zone, the Sun Devils effectively keeping the Broncos pinned as they are right now against the boards.
Kahn pushes it ahead. Blessing. Kahn gets it back. He can't pass it to Chris, though, until he exits the zone, and he does. And hangs on to the possession the whole time. Falls to the ice after the check. And UCO will try to take it up. The Broncos haven't scored for now the past 20 minutes, or more than 20 minutes now. Approaching 25. Meyer tangled up with Formosa. Totally different story from the last time these two teams met. A 7-4 victory for the Broncos in Oklahoma. A hat trick for Michael Rivera in that game. It was a game that Lucas Felbel started, and Levin had to come in and try to extinguish the flames after 4 straight goals. That's what's going to do it for you in any game.
Yeah, we've talked about this Sun Devil team as a team that occasionally has problems starting games. They've been known to come out on their back foot a little bit. They did even give up the first goal of the night tonight against UCO. That first UCO road game was really the ultimate example of a slow start for the Sun Devils. Definitely kind of a mental barrier that ASU had to work their way over.
Cooney kicks it along to Maley. Califf is there. But Cooney comes back around with the back edge of his blade. Back to Burkemper, a great keep. Finds Newmeyer, comes in, glove save by Caldwell. A great catch by him.
Yeah, good read by Caldwell. Looking high glove side all the way was Drew Newmeyer. Maybe Caldwell predicted that shot, doesn't make it any less impressive. Well-placed and powerful shot from Drew Newmeyer, one of the toughest saves to make in hockey, high glove side. Torrey Caldwell rose to the occasion.
Morris spins it back around. Maley is there near on the half boards. Rivera trying his best to keep it in front of him. 7 minutes to go. It's 6-2 ASU. Headed for the nets again and out of play.
Yeah, I think that puck took an awkward deflection off of an ASU stick. Ended up into the netting.
Comes back to Connor Schmidt. Teams, same place, same time, 7:30 tomorrow night. From sunny Tempe, Michael Rivera couldn't keep it on his tape, and Schmidt makes him pay, gets it out of the zone. Newmeyer backhands it to center ice. Prigge picks it up. Not many more chances to see your Sun Devils here at home, folks. After tomorrow night, there's only 3 more games, if I'm not mistaken, here at home. With Stony Brook and U of A. They also have the charity game. No more Syracuse series. That was scheduled for Valentine's Day weekend, the 13th and 14th. Instead, the alumni game will take place on February 13th. It was originally scheduled for the 2nd. Norris gives it to Murphy. He's looking for a hat trick. Goes over to the right side. Schmidt bluffs. Now sends a shot. It deflects over to Murphy's lap, but he couldn't keep it. Yep, Stony Brook comes to town on January 22nd. Tomorrow night's a Hope Kids Night if you want to come on out and see it. Always one of the better traditions that ASU puts on. Some of the kids going through hard times get to do a ceremonial puck drop with the captains and a photo and go see the guys in the dressing room before the game, get autographs. And they all get pizza and soda and sugared up before the game as well.
Absolutely. The Sun Devil hockey program, a big part of the community out here in Tempe. Number of great programs. Few more impressive than the Hope Kids nights that they've hosted so far at Oceanside.
Rivard trying to force its way into the net. He's also got 2 goals. Rice goes cross ice. A shot, and it's popped up high by Levin. But again, back tomorrow night, Central Oklahoma. Then next weekend, ASU hits the road with a very, I think, kind of sneaky, kind of underrated and very easy to overlook Lindenwood team. And then you've got a 1-game set against Stony Brook on the 22nd before the final home series, the final weekend of January against U of A. Both of those beer nights.
As
the 30th
they
and
often
31st.
are against the Wildcats. You're very right about that Lindenwood team, Dom. That's a team that's going to be very interesting to keep our eyes on come tournament time in particular. The Sun Devils get a preview of them before that. A bit of a mystery, Lindenwood. They've had tough losing streaks and some impressive winning streaks as well this season. Real up-and-down team, but when they're on, that Lindenwood program, they can knock off anyone in the country.
I think, if I do recall, they started off something like 0-5-1, and they were still ranked in the top 5, and everyone was confused. But they were playing teams like UCO, teams like Ohio that ASU likely won't see until tournament time. They're not on the schedule. But Ohio, one of those teams that really can be overlooked easily. The Bobcats have one of the best goalies in the country.
That Ohio program, a dangerous one for the Sun Devils, led by Sean Hogan. Any team that can match up with an impressive goalie between the pipes.
Cooney tried to force it in. Did it leak in? There's no signal yet. The back crowd is celebrating like it went in. They're going to talk about
it. They didn't whistle that one dead earlier. It looked like
the
Torrey
linesman
Caldwell
wasn't
had it
there in
stopped.
time. McGovern's celebrating anyway, and they give him the goal.
There you have it.
So it goes to Tommy Cooney.
Cooney, a guy who's taken a lot of abuse out there on the ice tonight. He has taken a beating from this UCO defense. Always a high-pressure player. Hasn't really gotten the open ice opportunities tonight. The chances for him to find net on a breakaway. Finally got himself a little one-on-one action with Torrey Caldwell. And it wasn't exactly how he drew it up, but it was certainly enough to get the job done.
Tommy Cooney gets the goal. It's his first tonight, his second point. His 12th goal of the season. He's up to 28 points. The third-line center, he has not moved from that position all year long. He has played in 24 of now the 25 of the 26 games. Cooney coming in again, avoids the block of one, sends a shot in and covered by Caldwell. Did not allow a rebound.
That's it. Cooney wants more. He gets on the board. He wants a second goal tonight. Talking about, I think we were talking Lindenwood before that sequence,
yes.
Dom.
And Ohio as well.
And Ohio. Lindenwood, at the time that I last checked, did not have an opponent scheduled that wasn't in the top 25 this year. I think that number actually climbed as some of these teams moved up in the rankings. Lindenwood not facing anyone but the ACHA's absolute elite. There are about 9-10 teams that really have a legitimate chance at making it to the ACHA championship, taking home the Murdoch Cup. Lindenwood's one of them, and believe me, they've played virtually every other one of those teams.
If you want to hear us talk more about the ACHA, you got to check out Around the ACHA. You can find right here on the Cronkite Sports YouTube channel. There's a few episodes up already. You see some of our friends join on. Troy Lynch, Allison Cummings, Jason Chesler, Kyle Kirchhoff, who could not join us this weekend. He's still back home in Denver. It's a little colder there than it is here, though.
I don't know about here in Oceanside. They get a pretty chilly for the hockey rink.
But then you walk outside and it's 55 and you defrost rather quickly. Knocked down by Morris, that was Barding with the shot, but it's smothered by Caldwell. A late whistle. 2:46 to go. It's 7-2 Devils. This one's on ice. ASU getting ready to improve now to 23-3. UCO will fall to 21-2-1.
And as we move forward into the 2015 calendar year, Mac Barden really a player Sun Devil fans at home should keep their eyes on. A freshman out of the BCHL. He's really been cemented for the most part on the fourth line as a center. We have seen him play out wide as well. He's a big-time speedster. That's something we haven't seen showcased that much from Barden.
Back and forth here. Hull tried to beat Levin, but instead he hit the post. He overcorrected himself. He had a goal in his hands, but could not execute.
Yeah, Levin was sprawled out. He kicked his left leg out as far as he could reach, but there was still a few puck widths left between his skate and the post. Unable to find it, the post bailing out Robert Levin, as it's done a few times for Torrey Caldwell as well.
Now it's Harley. Over to Formosa. A shot, glove save, rebound, and it gets slided away. 2 minutes. UCO putting on one last charge, proving they won't go down without a fight. A high stick, but it's touched up by ASU now, so that's wiped clean. Rivard, he's got 2 goals, looking for a third, trying to toss the hats, but he could not. Got knocked off the puck before he crashed in on the Caldwell. Murphy also looking for a Hattie. 95 seconds. Puck tied up along the corner. Norris and Rice. And there's finally a whistle with 90 seconds.
Probably no coincidence this Sun Devil first line doesn't really need to be out there with a 7-2 lead, minute 30 left in the third. But with two guys sitting on 2 goals apiece, you could bet that both Eric Rivard and Sean Murphy at least wanted to get a look in before this game ended.
And they're back in. Rivard kind of shaking his head, I think, telling the bench he wanted it.
Of course, if I'm Eric Rivard, the PA announcer said hat trick. I'm claiming a hat trick.
Well, it was Murphy who they called the hat trick.
Oh, you're very correct. You're very correct.
Because they gave Murphy a goal that was truly Rivard's.
You're
that
very
was
correct.
The
I
fourth
am
goal
in
of
fact
the game.
mistaken. My point stands, though, for Sean Murphy this time.
You say, hey, they officially announced it. I got it. As time winds down here, the goal scorers for ASU, Rivard twice, Murphy twice, Belanger, Burkemper, and Cooney. Not in that order, but you get the gist. As for UCO, it was Harley and Rorda. Trying to add one more. Kressner and Rice going back and forth. Tomorrow night, 7:30 right here. These two teams go at it for the final time this year. Levin makes the save, 39 seconds to go. Now, looks like Dooley wants to have a few more words. Blumgren, the captain, pushing him off.
We haven't seen too much of this enforcer, Brett Blumgren, a role he was really known for prior to receiving that captaincy letter. Again, the addition of several defensemen this year, it's been a little bit harder to find ice time for Brett Blumgren. And when he is out there, he's wearing the captaincy. He's got to communicate with the officials. He's got to kind of be that representative from the bench for the Sun Devils. Not really able to shove too many guys out there in the enforcing role that he's a bit more used to.
Udez and Young. It's now up top. A shot. That one came from Hodder's stick. It got bounced around, though. Final 20 seconds of the game now. Wellman gives it back to Priggy, the captain. Up ahead. Califf will dump forward, but Young is there. 10 seconds. They'll let the clock run.
And Dom, you brought it up. It's a repeat affair tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. And I think we shouldn't get confused here. Yes, it was a dominant third period for the Sun Devils. The final scoreline dominant for the Devs as well, 7-2. But for the first 2 periods of action, this was a very competitive game and a very entertaining game as well. The Broncos don't let the scoreline confuse you. They do look like the number 2 team in the country. They just ran out of steam when all things were considered.
So ASU will now get their 23rd win of the season. And as for UCO, they get their 4th loss, 3rd in regulation time. He's Jason, I'm Dominic, and 7-2. It's been a while since we've seen this lopsided of a win for ASU. You remember the Illinois series, which was the last home series before the semester break. Close 1-goal, 2-goal victories. Yeah, they blew out U of A, but that's expected. Sorry, Tucson, but this team, this is, I think, exactly what the doctor ordered after last night's tough loss with an empty net goal 5-3. Is this team starting to roll like those national champions they really are again?
You know, coming off of a loss, Dom, it's tough to say that the Sun Devils are really rolling, but they're showing what they're capable of. They're making a statement. This might not be the team quite firing on all cylinders the way they did in their national championship run last year, but they're showing that they're capable of doing it because, hey, if you can beat the number 2 team in the country by 5 goals, you can beat just about anyone.
Well, that's going to do it for us up here. Be sure to stay tuned for the post-game report with Megan, Troy, and Allie. Our color commentator, Jason Chesler. I'm Dominic Catroni. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 7:30. Puck drop, same teams, the Broncos and the Sun Devils. Tonight's final score, ASU victorious 7-2 over UCO. Until tomorrow night, take care, everybody. We'll see you then.
Welcome to the Oceanside Ice Arena post-game show, starring by me, Troy Lynch, and Allison Cummings, and of course, Megan Plain, where we just saw the number 1 team in the nation beat the number 2 team in the nation by 5 points with a final score of 7-2. Now, there's still another game tomorrow night, Allie. I just want you to know that in case you've forgotten.
Okay.
But they're still playing the same team. I mean, UCO has beaten ASU before, but ASU just beat UCO, obviously. So, if you're UCO right now, what changes needing to make going into tomorrow night?
Well, first of all, let me process there's another game tomorrow. No, I'm totally kidding. I knew there was a game tomorrow. But anyway, they're going to have to come out. I didn't think they performed bad. I thought that their pressure was really good, but maybe take a little less focus on the physicality and a little bit more focus on finesse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really hard to say because, like, if you're Sean Murphy, for example, compared to Eric Rivard, those are two very different players for Arizona State. But I want to see them channel in more on how they're going to shoot the puck and maybe get their passing lanes open a little bit more. Because when you're too focused on like the physical aspect, you're allowing Arizona State room to skate, and you cannot do that. Towards the end of the game, they made them pay. Granted, there was a little bit extra fire behind Arizona State because they had lost before. But still, when you're focusing too much on hitting guys or just outworking them too hard, you're allowing them some room. And you saw that a lot with Sean Murphy, highlight of the night, a hat trick. So how about that?
Yeah, and so you heard it from Allie. A little bit of fire underneath the Sun Devils, kind of ironic right there. But do you think, 5 points, that's a pretty big margin. You know, you usually say ASU beat a team that's not in the top 10 by like 5, 6, or multiple points. Do you think this was a statement game for ASU after losing last night?
Oh, by far, I think it's a statement game. I mean, this is the number 2 team. I mean, they're not a bad team. They're a very good team, and ASU obviously showed how great they are against them. I think tomorrow night it'll be a closer game, but I think it definitely was a statement game. ASU came out there strong, especially in that third period. The first 2 periods, it was a closer matchup, but towards the end of the third, ASU got in there, got more shots on goal. So I think that, you know, it was a statement game for them.
And I also want to point out for the goaltenders for Caldwell, once a couple start going in, I mean, it kind of does hurt a goalie's momentum after a while. It's like when a goalie's getting a shutout and they score their first goal, they kind of lose that confidence a little bit. But when you score back to back to back, it really just kind of hurts the confidence level a little bit. And Caldwell, he's a phenomenal goalie, and so is Robert Levin. He just needs to not, obviously, he doesn't need to score very often. Yeah.
And now there's 2 main goalies for UCO. They got Caldwell and they got Patchett. Do you think tomorrow night we're going to see a new goalie?
You know, that's really tough to say because they're so interchangeable to me. I think that we will, though. After tonight, Caldwell may be a little bit sore following that because he really did work a lot. But I think either way, the bottom line is they're going to have to really make sure Arizona State doesn't have those opportunities and those chances because they want to keep them away from the crease and keep them on the outside. If you give Sean Murphy room, Ryan Belanger room, Tommy Cooney room, I mean, any of the little speedy guys, they're so nifty. They're going to get the puck in the back of the net, just a matter of time.
I don't know if I'd call them little, but I mean...
not little to me, I'm probably shorter, but littler compared to like an Eric Rivard,
right?
Or
exactly.
a Michael Cummings. I think he's the tallest one or Brett Blumgren's the tallest one on the team.
Yeah, I was standing next to Eric Rivard for one of the interviews, and he is a giant. I wouldn't want to get next to him, but sticking on the topic of goalies, I mean, coming into this series against Oklahoma, then Central Oklahoma, they were worried about Robert Levin to see if he was going to play all 3 games. You think tomorrow night, how do you think he's going to play?
I think he's going to play well. I mean, he's shown great these past few days. I think he's going to play again. Now, what she was saying with the other goalie, I think they will switch him out because, like you said, those goals, they do add up. You know, it kind of puts that goalie in a bad state of mind. So I think tomorrow, maybe a fresh start, a different goalie, they'll throw him in there and maybe see if that can create a change for that Oklahoma team.
Gotcha. All right. So final question. I'm going to ask this to both of you. All right. So 7-2. That was the final score. Do you expect the score to be similar to tonight's game?
Absolutely not. The score is going to be way lower. There are a lot of variables tonight on Arizona State side because they lost to UCO before. They lost last night. Arizona State, they aren't used to losing. And when they lose, it adds a lot of pressure and they fight back really hard. And I also think there's a level of confidence when you beat a team by that large of a margin. That's like a large margin for hockey. You have a little bit extra confidence and they might let their guard down a little. UCO, they're number 2 in the nation. They're right there. They defeated the Wildcats last night. They want to make it back up to number 1, but to do that, they need to beat Arizona State. That is a level of motivation for them to come out to tomorrow because they want to be the number 1 in the team of the nation. Who doesn't? But that's going to light a fire.
Megan, same question goes to you.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, if they can come out tomorrow and move up to that number 1 spot, that'll be a big deal. So they're going to come out just as strong as they can, and I think it'll be maybe a 1-goal game or something like that. Definitely way different than from what we saw tonight because not only did they lose and they want to come back and defeat the Sun Devils and try and, catch up to what they did today, but they want to be that number 1 team. So they're really going to come out here guns firing.
Absolutely. Well, the final score was 7-2 in Arizona State's favor, but we still got a brand new game tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same people. And we're going to see you tomorrow night. I'm Troy Lynch, Allison Cummings, Megan Plain, and we'll see your beautiful faces tomorrow night.